2, 1, 2. It's Saturday. It's it's almost the end of October, man. You guys, it's pumpkin spice time, and it's football, soccer, and everything else, man. You know, we get up early and we go out and we partake in the little football games, and it's awesome seeing all of the little kids out there in like the 6U, the little Pop Warners, they playing football. And it's so crazy because we're out there doing it, and it's like you got the pumpkin spice. I see my little nephew out there playing football, man. He's 7 years old, but they playing like they understand the game. You know, it's just crazy. So I'm excited for my grandson to get old enough to get into sports.
Start him off now, man.
So look, we have with us today no newbies, just some old school leaders in here. We got David in the top left. What's up, David? We got Tanya in the top right. Hey, Tanya. And we got Broseph on the bottom left. What's up, bro?
What's up, man?
Joseph. So everybody, thank you guys so much for coming out and hanging out. I know that all of you guys have really busy schedules, and y'all take time to come out and hang out with us and talk about an article, give some thoughts and opinions to help us out. Shout out to Matt and Phil. They're busy this week. They won't be able to join us. But our article today is coming from the Harvard Business Review. It's titled "Dealing with Disappointment" by Manfred Ketz DeVries. If I messed up your name, I apologize. It's dealing with disappointment. So we're gonna jump into this thing and see where we go, man. Dealing with disappointment. I know I've dealt with disappointment. My career was full of disappointments. And not saying my career was a disappointment, just over the course of the career, I dealt with a lot of disappointment. So this article spoke to me a lot. Anybody, you guys have anything y'all want to say about the article before we get into it? No?
Yeah, man. That was a good read, man. It helps me remember some disappointments, and it also helps. I hate to say it like this, but it normalizes it. As a human being, we're supposed to experience these things.
Yeah.
It goes wrong when we think that we're not supposed to.
Right. Yeah. It opened up really well because it put you into someone else's shoes. In case any of you have never ever experienced disappointment, it opens up with a good example of disappointment. So I'm gonna roll right into it. Robert didn't know what to think. How could he have misjudged the situation so badly? He felt angry, sad, and betrayed. Because of his impending retirement, Robert had carefully, I'm sure we've all done this before, right? Carefully groomed a successor to take over his key project. This is me. The company's executive assured him that they agreed with his choice, but when push came to shove, they vetoed his candidate. Instead, they appointed someone else to take the lead, someone Robert didn't trust, to continue the work that had been the capstone of his career. Robert was left kicking himself for not seeing it coming. The sense of futility and bewilderment was almost too much to bear. Many people successfully work through their disappointment somehow. They have the strength to take stock of what has happened to them, learn from the incident, and move on. They come out of such disappointment stronger. But others, like Robert, struggle. In these cases, disappointment can become depression. And we know how depression can, affect you. How can we learn to manage our disappointments effectively? So, I'm going to drop a pin right there. I understood. I fully embodied Robert's situation. Of all of us are military. So you know how when you take ownership of your team, section, unit, whatever, squadron, that group, and you've grown them to where you are okay, I'm good, I'm comfortable, they're good to go. Senior leaders, I would like for this person, not always do we have the opportunity, but I would like for this person to take over for me. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah. They do your little hail and farewell. And then they'd be like, by the way, this other person is gonna be the person, and you're like, what? And at that point is where you have to learn how to be like, you know what? I've trained them. I'm trusting the training that I put into them. I can move on, right? But he was retiring, so I'm like, I understood his frustration, but if you don't know how to deal with that disappointment, it really could become depression, right? Because it was a big project that he had, and he had somebody he trained to keep the ball moving in the right direction, and then somebody he didn't trust. So, you know, he's probably like internalizing it. What's the one that we talk about with resiliency training when they just spiral out of control?
Catastrophizing.
Huh? Catastrophizing. Yeah. So he probably was left catastrophizing, like, this dude don't like me, or this female don't like me, this woman, this lady don't like me, and they're going to intentionally sabotage everything that I built up, right? So anything that he could think of that would go wrong, he was probably thinking about it. And yeah, I definitely I can put myself into that situation where I've experienced it before. You guys have anything on that first part right there before we get into managing expectations? Go ahead, Tanya, what you got?
I couldn't wait to jump in because, I read the article, but I didn't understand it till you started reading it. And maybe I've been retired too long, but I'm thinking, dude, you out, right? So, again, you trained your soldiers and stop making it about you, because it's no longer about you, right? So, I think that's the biggest thing that when you share that, it's like, we take it on just like our children. We take everything on like it's us. But at some point, you have to learn to let go. That you give all your guidance, you give all your training, you led them to where you need to go. You're retiring.
That's right.
They can still reach out to you, so it's not like it's completely lost.
Yeah.
But you are out of the system. It's no longer your project.
That's right.
So I guess, like I said, at some point we have to just learn, trust the fact that we gave them what we could give them, and now we're out. So it's not about us. It's what did you do to empower your soldiers to continue to move on without you in the mix.
That's right.
So that's the biggest thing I got from that, because I was like, I was thinking of my children. The biggest thing is, like, I have two soon to be 30-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
I raised them. All right, 30, right?
But you still mom them, right?
I'm still mom.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're two grown adults. They have to make their own decisions. They make their own, whatever they do is their consequences, right? So I'm to the point where I raised them with the best morals that I had that I could give them. I tried to teach them all this still things that I could do, but at some point they have to grow on their own.
That's
so
right.
I turn it over to them and know that whatever they now going forward is on them. So that's where I'm at now. So that's why I said maybe I've been retired too long, because I'm thinking that's none of my business. I'm out the door. Peace. Love you.
That's good. What you got, Joe?
I enjoyed that. That was really good. And it made me think of two words. The first is legacy, and the second is mentorship. And Tanya, I love how you said that it's not about you anymore. And it's good for leaders to learn that at a set stage in their careers, whatever it is that they're doing, that it never really was about you. If you're thinking about your legacy, what you want to be known as, how whatever you started is going to continue to progress or become a movement or whatever the case may be, then it never really was about you, right? And then what I love about the definition of mentorship is that mentorship is not bound by timelines and longevity, that kind of deal. Because if you are a mentor to somebody, let's take some of these old retired sergeant majors and that kind of deal, and they'll get phone calls from their soldiers who, now 30 years, and they've been retired over 20 years,
right.
And they still get phone calls. Hey, sergeant major, can you look at my NCO? You're thinking about making this move. You think this is good, or I'm trying to make this decision for my division?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Those are if that's what you're you're aspiring to affect, then you got to be patient and you got to allow it to happen. You got to remove yourself from that equation.
Yeah.
And I love how you said mom, because being a parent is the perfect thing. You never stop being a parent, right? Even when the day you close those eyes and they don't open again,
That's right.
you're still their parent. That is your true legacy, your mark left upon the world. And if you gave them the right principles, then they're going to make some good decisions. They're also going to make some bad decisions.
Yeah.
You know,
It's life. It's life.
that's life.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
You got anything, David?
Yeah, similar to what Joseph and Tanya said, I think a lot of it is, you're supposed to be there for a season, and you meant to accomplish a mission and instill in the organization and the people that comprise that organization certain things.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. When you have that feeling, it's natural because we human beings, right? We poured in a lot of energy into it, so it's quite natural to feel like, what do you mean? This is the right person. I groomed this person to take over, and that was a lot of mentorship and coaching and all of that. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling like that disappointment for too long, one needs to pause, reflect, and see, 9 times out of 10 is something within yourself. Is that place becoming your identity? Is that place, position, title, defining who you are?
Yeah.
And now this is failure because this little piece of this session, this little piece now lets you, ponder and despair for so long, right? When you touch these people, especially in the military, you mentioned, Joseph, you mentioned legacy, right? Those junior soldiers, sailor, airmen, and Marines who are gonna go on and touch other people, coach other people, because you left a seed in them.
That's right.
It's bigger than one.
That's correct. Love it.
So that's how I feel. And then the last thing is, you could only do things with things that you can control.
Yeah.
That's behind you.
That's
right? That's behind you. So
that's one of the keys that we're gonna get to in the end. I heard this on a deployment and it just took root for me automatically, and it was expectation management. And when I heard it, I always understood it and knew it was there, but I never put that phrase together. And when it was Mac, John Mikowski, shout out to Mikowski. He's an IG like you, Joe.
For real?
Yeah, he did it at DC before. He was doing it in the Pentagon before he came to Germany, left Germany and went back down. Matter of fact, he's in Florida, where around the area. I don't think he's where David is, but he's in Florida.
Okay.
So shout out to John Mack, because he said that expectation management, and that thing just it hit me. Like, I was like, yes, absolutely. So they're saying one of the big topics is managing expectations, expectation management. Someone once said expectation is the root of all heartache. The quote recognizes that when we experience disappointment, our hopes and expectations are out of line with reality. And that's what I hear you guys saying and everything that you just mentioned. We all feel this way from time to time. Some of these disappointments will not make such a difference, but there are also disappointments that can change the course of our lives. Given the convoluted nature of desire, there are no experiences that are entirely free of disappointment. Somebody just said that. This is what makes disappointment such a complex and confusing feeling. Many of our desires that we pursue are unconscious, sublimated, and frequently contradictory. Paradoxically, we may even become disappointed when we get what we want. For example, in Sigmund Freud's 1916 essay, Some Character Types Met with the Psychoanalytic Work, he explored the paradox of people who were wrecked by success. Everybody's not meant for it, right? Unconsciously, these people believed that their success was unjustified, so achieving it didn't feel satisfying to them. In other cases, even when we do get what we want and think we deserve it, we may discover that what we wanted so badly doesn't bring the expected bliss and happiness. Yes. Yes. Drop a pin. Yes. So, I think when I read that, I'm like, people who believe that getting more money is going to fix their lifestyle, their situation, stuff that's missing. You know, if I could just get more, I could just get more. And when they get more, and they get more, they're getting more, but all they see is, I need to get more, I need to get more. So they never take time to enjoy the journey, because they're always looking at, I need to get more. And then they look back. It reminded me when I was reading, I was thinking about that movie, Adam Sandler, Click. Remember? Remote or Click? Where he was just fast forwarded to the highlights. And then when he go back and look at it, he's just floating through everything. And it's like, wow, you know, it's an extreme exaggerated version of what we do. But if you're in that process, that's what his kids was looking at him like, you know, you're here, but you're not really here, you know? And so that's what I was thinking about when I was reading that. Like, you know, we just got to take time to and enjoy the small things. And I really like it. Like, you know, David, you are avid getting out there and support your kids, you know, for the soccer and different things like that. He's gonna leave us to go to a game, like well, not leave us, he's gonna take us with him when he goes to the game. So it's just like some things like that. Like, you know, I look back and I'm thinking, like, over my military career, you know, sometimes when we just can't handle it, when we're deployed, you're out at sea, or you're, you know, in these remote locations. Back in the day when we didn't have all of this Skype, and I keep saying Skype, but we didn't have FaceTime, and, you know, where you could do this stuff, you had to hope that they had some type of, you know, old analog phone that you can call on, or some sat phone or something. You missed a lot of stuff, man. We were just talking about this. It became normal for us to not celebrate, like, our wedding and anniversary, you know, and wedding and anniversary birthdays, because I was always gone during those time frames. And so now it's like, oh no, we will celebrate. We gonna, you know, that's the boss telling me that. Oh, we gonna do something. We spent 20 plus years away on these dates. We gonna celebrate. So that's what I was thinking about. It's like, even when you get to where you thinking you're saying you need to go, it's never gonna, you're disappointed, because, not saying you're like expressing disappointment, but you're not satisfied. So you're always needing to be filled when there's something else missing. And I know what that something is. What you got, Tonya?
I love what you're saying. I can definitely relate to that. But what I also want to add too is define what success means to you. And I think one of the biggest aha moments I had was we define success based off of what other people think success they tell us. So when you're saying we're going unconsciously through life and not knowing, because society or other people are telling us this is what success looks like.
That's right.
But I think once you really take that time, like you said, that pause break, and say, well, what does success really feel like and look like to me? Then you can start fulfilling that kind of desire, and your expectations change, because then you're no longer trying to live to other people's expectations. You're living to your own. Yeah. And so that's, I think that's it was a hard thing for me to understand, because, so like I said, maybe money is not really the thing that's going to mean success to you. Maybe it's healthy. Maybe it's getting out there and maintaining your weight, and so you can be out there for the long haul for your children and grandchildren. So, you know, I got grandchildren, so my grandchildren made me get my act together, because, you know, for the longest time I thought it was money, but now I'm like, well, no, success means more to me, being able to get up, get out, and stay active and play with her and all that stuff. And now I know, to me, I look money more as a byproduct of what I do, because there's joy and happiness in with it. So redefining what success to you means is helps the expectation the expectation management, because now you know what you want for yourself. So
That's good.
Great topic.
What y'all got? You guys got anything?
Yeah, I do. So Tay, you trying to tell me that Diddy had it right back in the day when he said more money, more problems? You telling me that's what he was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. He had it right.
He had it right. So I had to get that out, man. That was sitting up on me. I had to get that off. Tanya, I love what you're talking about. Self-actualization is a tough thing. And as we get older, different stages of life, we have to redefine it kinda, but it still comes from the same core places, family, society, and your own internal beliefs and how you see things. And that expectation management, man, I tell you, we've all been there. Remember when you was a young troop and you thought, oh man, I can't wait to get promoted where I don't have to do this stuff, because they don't do nothing. All they do is answer emails, get to sit in the office and this, that, and the other.
That's right.
And then you get there and you're like, oh, this is no. I'll just send me back. Send me back. Teleport me back right now. I don't want to do anything. And so expectation management is probably one of the most underrated things in life, mental principles in life out there. Just because if you don't have a proper outlook on what you're expecting to come from something, or you're waiting for a praise to come from a set individual or set group of people, then you will always be disappointed, because people are designed to disappoint. I'll just say it like that. A good example. So here you are, you're working hard in a group, and only a few of you get an impact award for whatever the task was, right? And then you're thinking like it's gonna be a great round of applause and all this other kind of stuff, and then you see while you're standing up there is the eyes getting greener and greener as they plot their attacks against you, right? And then you're like, well, man, this ain't what I wanted, right? Yeah. So I'll just give it back. Or you know what? I'll never perform in that manner ever again, because of I didn't like what I received. And it can be a deafening thing and a very toxic thing that will pass to anybody who you interact with or encounter. I've seen it happen lots of times that, nah, you don't want to go out and go work like that, because this is what will happen. And then it deafens somebody else's outlook on life. And so I think these type of topics should be discussed regularly so that people can broaden their perspectives.
Yeah, that's good. You have anything you want to add to that, David?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. And, Tanya took the words out of my mouth. Someone else's expectation, when you're living that, when you're not living your purpose, your meaning in life, right? And like Joseph said, unfortunately, oftentimes that realization comes with time, with age, that, wait a minute. Yeah, I'll be 51 tomorrow, by the way.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I'm still learning, and I'll die learning, and I'll die growing.
Yes, sir.
So, but it's funny because I knew it all when I was 20.
That's right. That's right.
Had it all together, brother.
So what often happens is we go to the shelf and pull someone else's roadmap to success, right? Some colonels roll back, let's say you're a young lieutenant, or let's say master sergeant and corporal, right? Well, that master sergeant, it's been 20 years. Well, worked for him back then. It's a different army. We evolving, different rules, sort of.
That's right.
Right. So, and it's his life. You have your life, your values, your purpose, your meaning. So if you try to get someone else's roadmap and try to execute it to the T, then you're going to be disappointed.
That's right.
So if you take it and you learn from it and grab some nuggets from each, maps and say, how does this fulfill my values, right? My foundational values and my purpose and meaning. So if what I'm doing is fulfilling that, then you'll never, I won't say you never be disappointed, right? What did Mike Tyson say? Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? So life would throw their hooks and you could bob and weave and get, not get hit by some of them, but you're going to get hit and you get knocked down by some of them.
Right.
So it's a matter of having that growth mindset. And like Joseph said, beginning, you're supposed to struggle in life. That's part of growth.
That's right.
So there's moments of disappointment. And if you go into it knowing that it's bound to happen, it's a matter of how you react to that, right? And how long, again, because we're human, right? We're human. So we will grieve, and that takes time. Depending on how bad this hurt us. It's when you stay in that for a long time that it begins to take over your life.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it's incumbent on us to pause and figure out what our values are, our purpose, and our meaning in order to, to go on in our roadmap with confidence, so that we minimize those disappointments.
Yeah, I love the point you made, and you made it very well. On, you can't take somebody else's roadmap and try to follow it to the T. You can. They always say you learn. Your experience is the best teacher. That's a lie. Experience is a good teacher. But the best teacher is to learn from somebody else's experience, so I don't make those same mistakes, right? I don't have to go through that. I don't need to know that my mom is going to beat my tail if I go and do this when I saw her beat my brother's tail when he did it, right? I don't need that experience. I don't need my tail getting hot, getting burnt up when I could learn, don't do that. I don't have to burn myself on the stove after I seen somebody else do it. My grandma had this stove that was never ever grounded, or refrigerator or whatever it was. It wasn't grounded. And they always used to say, don't touch this and this at the same time. Well, you know what kids do. You don't do it. And then you say, okay, let's do it. And they got shocked, right? I didn't listen that one time. And I'm like, oh yeah, experience was the best teacher. No, I thought, shoot, I should have listened when they told me not to do that. That was dumb. That's what I thought. I didn't think, oh, now I got the experience, I shouldn't have did it. No, I thought that was stupid. Why did you do that? That hurt. So learn from other people's roadmaps. Yes, you're going to have your own. In life, if everything went the right way, do you ever learn? Right? I mean, if your baby jumped up out the daggone crib and went running, just jumped up out the crib and started running, you be like, yo, somebody get some holy oil and some holy water. This child has been here before. You think something's wrong. They got to get up, wobble, get the drunk man walk on, then you got to get the shoes to stabilize. They're going to fall some more. And eventually, over time, they'll get the strength and the muscles will get strengthened and they'll learn how to do it, right? And that's life, man. That is life to the T. We learn through failure. And that's why leadership says create an environment where failure is okay. Because when you create an environment where failure is okay, your people are going to learn so much more. So I know I went deep down a rabbit hole on that one.
Nah, that wasn't a rabbit hole, man. That was pretty solid, man. Because growth management is how we develop perspective. That's right. It also helps you develop a pathway or a mechanism, a modality of how to deal with disappointment when it comes, not if it comes, right. When it comes, right? It's man, the list came out and I ain't on it. What happened? Yeah. Man, look at this joker over here, man. That joker is trash. How did they get promoted and I ain't get promoted? That's right? Yep. How do you deal with that, right? Because for most folks, you say, well, you know what? Clearly, I have failed. You know, I ain't done nothing right in my career and this, that, and the other. And that really ain't the case.
Yeah.
That's really not the case, right? It may not be your time, or you know what? There may be something when you get promoted that causes you to fail, right? And that could be promoted in rank and or position.
That's right.
You know, my last job, I got it because a guy was elevated to a position that he was not mature enough to handle.
That's right.
And so when he got to the job, he my dream job, this is what I've always wanted to do, and he got in the job and failed miserably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miserably, right?
Exactly.
Because he wasn't mature enough to handle the authority and the responsibility that came with it. And so tell you made a solid point. And David, I love the way you put that roadmap. You're trying to do what somebody else has done. You can't be a copycat in life.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be a copycat, right? I mean, shoot, you can even look at the serial killers. Copycats get caught. The OGs, they live on. Nobody remembers the copycat.
Yeah. They get caught faster too. What you got, Tony?
I wanted to add to that because Mr. Joseph was speaking some good knowledge, because here's the thing is, if you fail, there's always a lesson that you can learn from, right? And those are the golden nuggets that's going to be able to carry you farther, because then you can share that and you become a better mentor to other people, because you're like, look, this is what happened. This is what you could look out for. And so again, like I said, I can relate a lot as a mom, because there's things I did as, you know, a young woman that I wouldn't want my children to do.
Right.
But at the same time, I know at the end of the day, they got to make their own decisions, their own consequences. And they have consequences that deal with what they do. But it defines who they are as they become the person that they are meant to be. So again, sometimes when we try to protect people, you're only doing a disservice, because there's something that maybe perhaps they need to learn in their journey to be able to be who they can be in their self. And like, so we can go down that whole spiritual thing, but you know, there's things that we are privy to when we need to know it, based off the experiences that we go through. So that's what I say. So sometimes, you know, you do have to go through that crap, that hard stuff to learn. Because my mom would say, a hard makes a hard head makes a soft behind.
That's
so
right.
You know, you can tell me all day long, but till I experience it, I was like, oh, now I know what she's talking about.
Now, look, have y'all ever had that saying that some old head used to say to you, and it didn't make any sense to you, and then when you got to that point in your life and you experienced it, and you was like, oh, that's what they mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the older
what
you
they
get, the
mean.
wiser they sound.
Oh my goodness, them old school heads be saying some stuff, and you be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm saying old school heads while I'm up here looking.
Hey, well, you know that's the way it happens, though. You know, eventually you become the old head, or hope to become the old head, because you know, old head is actually a great term to be able to achieve.
That's right. That's right. It's a term of endearment, and I will tell you.
Old and dumb, and then don't nobody need you.
That's right. Absolutely. All right. So the next point is developmental influences. So we beat up expectation management. Also, developmental influence, we kind of hit on that already. The way we handle disappointment is related to our developmental history. Really? Our relationship with our parents and other early formative experiences. Some people seek to avoid disappointment by turning into underachievers. Wow, I think somebody said that. They unconsciously set the bar low and avoid taking risks to prevent themselves or others from being disappointed. Without realizing it, they have decided that the best strategy is not to have high expectations about anything. Such behavior turns into a form of self-preservation. However, it also leads to a mediocre and unfulfilled life. Ironically, these people often turn into disappointments for everyone, including themselves. Isn't that crazy? Others following a very different trajectory seek to avoid disappointment by becoming overachievers. So you got underachievers and you got overachievers. Although they tell themselves that the expectations of perfections are appropriate and realistic, these presumptions turn out not to be true at all. The bar is set far too high to ever make whatever they want to achieve attainable. They forget that perfectionism rarely begets perfection or satisfaction. Instead, it too often leads to disappointment. And I think this goes back to 3 weeks ago when we did Don't Let Perfection Keep You From Progress. So I think that really relates to that, because if you get so set on the perfection, it'll keep you from moving at all, right? You don't get that. You will never see results because you never actually turn anything in to get it graded or checked, right? Of course, there are also people with a more balanced developmental history. These people usually had parents who didn't try to be perfect and didn't expect their children to be perfect either. By being good enough parents, they said good enough parents, they created a secure base for their children. These children feel secure in their relationships, supported rather than controlled, and are able to play, explore, and learn, thereby acquiring the inner strength to cope constructively with the inevitable setbacks that will come their way in the journey through life. Last part, while it's helpful to know which way we lean, our developmental history is not our destiny. So even if you didn't have the one that says it was the best, you could still change, because we're human. We were created, this machine was created so awesomely. Whatever our development history may be, having a secure base or not, disappointment can provide us with valuable information about our beliefs, about ourselves, other people, and what makes us happy. So in this section, right, whether you're overachiever, underachiever, or you had people who gave you the good enough, it brought me back to one of the conversations that we had where someone said that I was reading, and the article said that the person's family told them that they encouraged them to fail often, fail early, fail often, right? And they'll say, well, you know, what did you fail at this week? What did you fail at? How did you fail this week? And what they were telling them was, I want you to go out and try stuff. And so the kids literally internalized it at that, and they would say at dinner time, they would have to tell them what did they fail at, and you know why did they, how did that failure come about, right? And they had to fail at something different. So if I want you to fail at a bunch of different stuff, that means you got to go out there and try something different to fail at it, right? And if you try something new, you're probably gonna fail at it that first time. Now, what did he do to them? He set them up to go out there and be open to new experiences, and all his kids were successful. Whatever that definition of successful is for them, I don't know. But they created an environment, a family environment where it's okay to fail. He said, what did you fail at today? And they tell him, it's like, you know, I went out for the chess team and I was horrible. Hey, good job, man. You tried. You didn't let anything scare you. And it was like, oh shoot, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try for the swim team. Hope I don't drown. So that's what, you know, when they said the good enough, I don't want anybody to think that we're saying be complacent or don't provide structure. Like, you know, there is a standard. Provide a standard, but don't make that standard to where it's like you got to come in here with straight A's. Everybody's not a straight A student. It's like people be like, oh, you didn't tell your kids they got to go to college and get higher education. I'm like, look, first and foremost, everybody's not built for higher education. Some people are built for hands-on, technical stuff, right? So I encourage my kids to chase their dreams, and I gave them their opportunities on what you could go and do this, you could do that, or you can aim high. You could be all you could be. They looking for a few good men. Right? Hey,
let's go.
There's options, but in those options, don't do it because somebody's telling you to do it. Do it because you want to try it. Right? And so that's my nugget in that section is don't take from this. We're saying don't give your kids standards because they're gonna achieve what they saw you do. And so if they seen you out there doing and grinding, they're gonna at least try to do that. But you want them to do more than you, but define their own version of success. Like Tanya said. What y'all got in this section?
Hey, Marta, I like the fact that you clarify that because I was struggling with the good enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So what came to mind was our love that we have for our children should not be defined on whether they win or lose.
Right.
Right? It's whether they put forth the effort and push beyond their comfort zone.
That's right.
Because otherwise they're not growing. You know when they are cruising. And when they're cruising, I mean, there's no fun in that.
That's right.
Right? And there's no growth in that.
That's right.
Right? But if they went and they put forth an effort, the best, effort, then and they lost, then you're not disappointed, man.
Right.
You know, out there and you gave it your all, and you give them a hug, and it's never. I mean, even when you're disappointed, it's not that you don't love them. So you got to make that clear.
That's right.
Right, and whether it's your own kids or your troops, right? Sometimes you got to give them that tough love.
Yeah.
But you still love them.
That's right.
I got plenty of that tough love, especially when I was younger.
Got that right.
Look, David, you talking about tough love. So since retirement, I've been going through my stuff, and I found some of my old counselings. I got a counseling from old Tanya, giving me some tough love. I was like, look at this, man. I still got this counseling. I can swear, I probably got 5 counseling statements, like legit, when I was a junior. And I think she gave me 3 of them. One time in Guam and like twice in Norfolk. So shout out to Tanya, man. She was doing the thing. And it was like in depth. I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, she really put some effort into this counseling session right here. When you're a young troop, you're not thinking about it. You're like, come on, I know what I'm doing. Like, what do you say, David? I know this already.
Yeah.
And she was my old crusty leader who I had to listen to.
It looks like, by the looks of it, it looks like Tanya enabled you to fail forward.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
And she put her foot in my butt and made sure that I fell forward. So shout out to you, Tanya, man. I appreciate it. I found that counseling statement. I was like, man, that's awesome, man. That's good stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? That leads me to answering this thing because I didn't like giving counseling statements, and it was to the point where I had to. You go, you talk to people. It was like, okay, but they always say it doesn't mean anything unless it's in writing. So I'm like, he gonna make me have to put this in writing. Right. But what I wanted to say though, I like all of this is really good because I don't really analyze my parents like were they hard achievers or were they good enough or whatever, but I was raised a certain way, but at the same time you can always learn more, right? There's always something you can learn from, and I don't think I really understand the grasp of failing forward or whatever all that means, until, like I said, I started I was retired, first of all, and like, whether you realize it or not, running your family is a business, right? It is a business. It's an ongoing business, however you look at it. So when my granddaughter, who came along, she was one of my biggest teachers, whether she knew it or not. But I just watched how she tries, So I was like, how do I get to that kind of learning mode? And so once I watched her, I was like, I have to be able to try stuff. So, shout out to Mr. David turning 51. Welcome to the club, my friend. But that's the whole point is age does not stop you from learning. So like I said, just recently I've been taking sign language classes, and I signed up for drum lessons and all this stuff. And I'm trying to do it because I want to be an example for my children.
Yeah.
That you're never too old to learn. And so we set the example to, we can take it back to our troops or to our children, but we set the tone. I didn't understand that in the leadership, but we set the tone. We set the standard of how we can be the example to say it's okay to fail. Right. And so, I think that was the biggest takeaway that I've learned from my time in the military to, and being a mom and stuff like that, things they teach you for a reason. So me writing these counseling statements taught me how to be a better communicator, because I have to explain to you why I'm writing this up and what do I expect from this. That's right. So there's always a lesson in it.
Yeah, it's good. That's good. And you made a good point. I learned I was in school, you know, and I watched all of my leaders. A lot of them were in school, but it wasn't until my mom. Shout out to my mom. She started school after college after me, and she finished her degree before me, and I was like, what in the world is going on here? I said, mom, you know, it's competition is on. If you didn't give me nothing else, you know I'm competitive. And she crossed that stage, I was like, touche. I was like, okay, boom, boom, boom. And so now, you know, she did that. And now all of my siblings are in school, and my sister got degrees. I'm like, girl, how many degrees are you gonna get? I mean, she got like 2 bachelors, 3 masters, you know, all these different things she's doing, and she's in school still. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna get my doctorate because it'll equal out more than all those ones you got. It's competition. It's healthy competition, right? But it is. It's one of those things. I remember seeing my dad while he was in the military going to school. He would get off work and sit at that table with the old Apple Mac box computer, and he typed like this. With half of his finger looked like he got chopped off by the daggone in one of them tank things that he was driving. He was a Scud missile, a grounded air defense guy. Man, he got in there and he did it. He got his law degree. He's a computer tech, all these different things. And I was like, you know what? I gotta pass that. So yes, Tanya, I agree. You know, it's not always you're gonna say this is the standard. Your standard is your life, right? It's what we saw them do. It's what we are doing, right? Because when your kids still see you out there learning all these different things, they like, man, mom is getting it. She is living life. It's like, absolutely. There's a poster, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. It said, we don't get old. We don't get old. We don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing. And I believe that, man. I truly do. When I got out of the military and I stopped working out as much as I had to, I felt it. And so it's like, I got to start. Now I don't have to work out for a test. I could just do what I enjoy doing, right? And so now even my mindset is different because it's like, I'm just doing it because I enjoy it. This is what I enjoy. So it's like my body is going to respond and has responded much better. It still hurts. But now I'm not hurting and saying I still got to do this because I got to get 2 minutes of this and 2 minutes of that and run this and this time. And well, they don't even do that anymore. But anyways, yeah, we're going to move forward. Unless anybody else have anything they want to say on that section. Next section is styles of coping.
Yeah. Tay, if I get in on that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I seen a reel a couple weeks back, and this parent, she was asking this. It was at some kind of, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was some type of like symposium where, you know, parents get to come and talk to different professionals. And this mother, she was asking, how can she keep her child away from cyberbullying and pornography and that kind of deal? And he gave her one of the most simplistic responses I've ever heard come from that level of expertise. He said, teach your daughter to believe in herself. If you teach her to believe in herself, then she will know how to avoid those things. And I said, wow, that's pretty daggone profound. Because even as an adult, the greater we believe in ourselves, the easier it is to avoid those things that are harmful to us. And so I think one of the greatest opportunities and probably one of the most overwhelming opportunities is to be a parent, because you got a life that you're responsible for. And I'm responsible for protecting my children's purity, you know, pureness of mind, pureness of heart. Don't go out and purposely do evil upon somebody else. All right. Or wish that something horrible would happen to another human being. That's not right. But how do I do that? When you was talking about the parents talking about failure, it took me to that Meet the Robinsons movie. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it before, but Meet the Robinsons, the kid, he becomes this great inventor, this, that, and the other, and he had to fail many, many times in order to get there. and it kind of contrasts his life of what could have happened and what actually happened. And when he gets to meet his future adult self, he's like, "Oh, I failed," and then the family has a huge celebration about the failure. I mean, fireworks, everything. Just, yeah, you failed. That's fantastic. And he's looking like, "What? No, that's a bad thing. I failed." And no, that's a great thing. You keep failing, and this is where you'll end up. It's kind of inspirational because, as a human being, we can't see where we're going. That's just not the goal. But meeting somebody older who's been there, they can see. And if you share those failures with them, they can help you navigate that course to get to where they see that you should be because of the amounts you fail. I mean, the difference between us and billionaires is how many failures we have. Right? Yeah. If you listen to any of those guys or read any of their biographies, they failed so many times before they hit it. And when they hit it, you get that taste of real success, because success, I think, is greater defined by your failures, right? And so as a young leader, like Tanya was saying, learning how to communicate, each of us have to face that challenge in a different way. And I tell you, I remember I was in Afghanistan when I got promoted to sergeant, and had a buddy there. We competitive. Trying to put in them points way out and about. You got to get your stuff back to Bagram and then back to the States and all the other good stuff, right? For your points to be updated to make it. And so I made it first, right? I cutoff came and I got promoted, and he was walking around still calling me Stevens, right? And I'm looking at him like, hold on now, specialist. But I didn't want to say anything. Yeah. I didn't want to say anything. Like, this is my buddy and this and this. And it was a couple times I wanted to say something. I had, that lump. It was probably the size of my throat. I didn't want to say anything. I mean, like, I tried and nothing but a squeak came out. It was bad. It was bad. It was like puberty all over again. I was grown in Afghanistan.
Nothing's wrong. It's good.
It's so bad.
You good? Right? You good, Stevens? Nope.
No. And he pounded me up and walked on off, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember talking with my big brother, and because that's who I worked for in Afghanistan, and he said it to me like this. He said, "Do you want to be treated as a junior enlisted soldier, or do you want to be treated as a non-commissioned officer?" And I said, "Well, I want to be treated like a non-commissioned officer." He said, "Then the only way for you to be treated like a non-commissioned officer is for you to act like one. And non-commissioned officers don't let standards drop right in front of them." And I said, "Oh man," he cut me to the quick, man. I mean, that was 3-piece combo. That was 2 to the ribs and 1 to the chin. I was like, "Oh, sweet Jesus." I came out that room feeling like I just went for 3 rounds with the champ.
Yeah.
And I go in, and the next opportunity comes up, and my hands are shaking. I mean, I felt the tingling sensation inside of them. My knees are knocking, this, that, and the other. But I pushed, and I pushed through that. And he didn't have much to say to me after that. But I felt great about being able to overcome that challenge. And I think that's one of the best things about us being able, as parents, being able to push our children beyond their comfort zones, to have them experience failures, frustrations, setbacks, disappointments, so that they learn how to deal with it and they can become the human beings that we are hoping that they will become.
That's good. Yes. Can definitely relate, bro. All right, so we're going to go over some coping styles. Major disappointments are often defining moments in people's lives. Constructively dealing with disappointments can be a self-curative process that can contribute to personal growth and make for greater resilience. Resilience is important. Take Winston Churchill as an example. Early in his career, the disastrous First World War military campaign at Gallipoli, if I said that wrong, forgive me, forced him to resign from his position as First Lord of the Admiralty. Churchill had come up with a plan, later called Churchill's Folly, to send a fleet through the Dardanelles Strait and capture Constantinople, present-day Istanbul, which he predicted would cause Ottoman Turkey to quit the war. But the plan utterly failed, and tens of thousands died. Churchill was disgraced and demoted. Now that would be hard not to, feel like, when you're dealing with, the lives of people, that's trusting you. To cope with this calamity and the subsequent humiliation, he refocused his attention and energy away from politics. He refocused his attention and energy away from politics. 6 months after his demotion, he became an infantry officer and joined the fight in France. During his time out of political spotlight, he thought through what had happened to him and what it had taught him about dealing with life's challenges. While at first he felt overwhelmed by what he called his black dog of depression. Anybody that's been through depression, you know how dark and that thing can be a dog. Churchill realized that it was much more constructive to reframe his disappointments as learning experiences. Catch that. He realized that it was much more constructive to reframe his disappointments as learning experiences in order to be able to cope better in the future, and to use disappointment as a catalyst for personal growth. Such soul searching provided him with new information about himself, the world, and others. Pin dropped. Yes. So resiliency in itself, bend but don't break, right? That means that you're gonna have things gonna happen when the storm comes and it blows you over and all this stuff. It's okay to get bent over and weigh and all these different things, but just don't break. Get back up, self-assess, reframe what just happened, and move forward. I'm not gonna go too far down into the hole. I'm gonna let you guys go. You got anything on that, David?
I would just use that analogy and spin it a little bit. I heard the other day that the storm doesn't always come to destroy. They sometimes come to clear the path. Right?
Yes.
So when these things happen, it's always good to pause, like I said, take some time and really question, even if you don't see it, whether you're spiritual, just whatever it is, or you want the universe, pull the energy from the universe, but you may not see what the lessons are right in front of you at that time, but life will bring it to you, or God will bring it to you over time. You may not be ready, right? So it's just being open that these things happen for a reason. There is a lesson here. I may not see it now. Hopefully you do. Over time, you're able to reflect and see it and learn from it. They're going to come. Gosh, I've been through so many very recently. And it just enabled me to put my energy, again, where I was falling into, going back to the beginning of our conversation, going back to what others thought I would be great at, rather than defaulting on my strengths and my passion and my purpose.
Yeah.
Right? In order to execute that, I have to go through some things that are very difficult. Starting your own business, that's not something I did in the military. This is new, but great. Embrace it. I get to learn so much.
Right.
So it's a matter of always looking at it like that and teaching your children the same things, right? You may not be able to have an answer as a parent, but giving them a hug and saying, these lessons that life have given you today will serve you as a pool of experience down the road, where you will recognize how to how to make better decisions, or how to go through life's journey better.
That's good. You guys got anything? You want to add anything?
Yeah, real quick, David. I love how you said what storms do. I only add one thing to it. It helps you know yourself better. Self-awareness is important, and I think that's what helps us get. You say it clears the path. It helps us move towards balance, right? You can't have all failures and no success and think you're going to be successful, and you can't have all successes and no failures and truly be successful. But it's that balance of those things, of you targeting some of your weaknesses and some of your strengths, and then the overall experience. My dad defines us serving in the Army as, while you're in Pharaoh's house, you're being prepared for work in God's house. And so he says, learn all you can, son, while you're in Pharaoh's house, because someday you're going to retire and leave it. And when you leave it, everything that you've learned and experienced and gained from your time in Pharaoh's house will benefit the edification of God's house. And so it really, he said it to me for years too. And the older I get, the better it sounds. And so each time I face a really, really hard moment in the Army, I'm reminded that I am experiencing this storm because somebody else is going to go through this storm. And I need to be ready to help them when they come out the other side of how to process experiencing this type of storm. And so appreciation of the things that happen. How did he say it? Churchill said, treating life experiences as training.
That's right.
That's a perspective that I have, and it helps me be able to deal with the dark times that I've had in my life and come out of those moments of depression, because we all experience it.
That's right. Even when you don't realize that's what it is, we've all experienced it, right? What you got,
Yes.
Tanya?
I wanted to add to that because I was listening to what Joseph was saying, but I was like, I gotta remember this, because what I do is like, what I also want to remember these decisions, and like David and Joseph mentioned, what it does too is a lot of times it goes back to our beginning of the disappointment. The disappointment usually is because we were expecting, if this worked this way, this worked. But the thing is, when those things come up, it builds trust in ourselves, because usually somewhere down deep inside, we knew in our heart of hearts that we should have made this decision, but we didn't trust that decision, and maybe we went with somebody else's decision. So what I'm finding too now that I talk with a lot of women is, in your heart of hearts what you should be doing, but when you go with somebody else's gut because you think that's the best thing, and then it comes back and you're disappointed, more likely you're not disappointed because of it went wrong. You're disappointed in yourself because you didn't listen to that gut instinct. And so I try not to go onto the spiritual thing, but there's usually something in your heart of hearts that's telling you what you need to do. But when we don't trust that little divine thing inside and we go by somebody else's, we get mad and disappointed because it didn't work out, knowing that we had the right answer for ourselves. So that's the thing I just wanted to add on, because it does build trust when the failure goes wrong, because the trust comes in yourself. If you don't start trusting your own decisions, you're always looking for somebody else to guide you. So I think that's the biggest takeaway that I've learned too, that the failures will help you.
Okay. I see you, David. What you got?
Yeah, I wanted to want to build on something that Joseph said, because coincidentally I was reading Think Like a Monk today, right? Jay Shady.
Okay.
And talked about him being in the ashram and him going to his teacher and saying, I give, because it was all about service, right? His nugget at the end of the book is, life is about service, right? And you talk about serving others, Mika, right? Serving others, right? It may not be for you in particular, right? The confidence may be in giving to someone else, right? That biblical lesson about what you learned in the Pharaoh's house wasn't for him, but for service to a nation, right? And so the same thing with Shady, right? The the teacher said, you know, are you giving for the sake of serving or to get something back? And sometimes you don't get it from the person that you're giving it to.
That's right.
But it's a universal thing. Be confident that when you give, someone else or God, right, will give back to you.
That's right. You
Right.
can't beat him in giving.
Right. Find comfort in that. Not that, oh, I gave you, so you must give. That's not authentic.
That's right. That's right. That's premeditated.
Go ahead, David.
Opportunity.
Yeah, man. I love it. I love it. All right. So, unfortunately, both emotional reactions keep the person stuck in a web of disappointment. Going back to what I was saying earlier. In many instances, disappointment can turn into lingering sadness, a feeling of loss or being let down, or even betrayal. In particular, this is the case when disappointment has been inflicted by people whom they trusted deeply, as in Robert's case. How can we overcome it? So what are they talking about? They were saying far too many people when faced with disappointment tend to attribute negative life events to their personal failings. They resort to obsessional self-blaming as they feel ashamed or humiliated of not measuring up to the image of their ideal self, or what somebody else said their ideal self should be. As a result, they direct their anger inward to themselves and may prompt them to say that they deserved it and that they were not good enough. Victim blaming. Others, however, would turn their anger outward towards others, to people who didn't fulfill their expectations. It will contribute to feelings of spite, vindictiveness, and bitterness. And that is off of the section Styles of Coping. So styles of coping, we got to reframe it and use it in a positive way. All right? You got to be resilient enough to know that it's coming. When it comes, reframe that thing and spin it to where you learn something from it. Overcoming disappointment, unpleasant as disappointments may be, we can always learn something from them. That's what we just said. To constructively deal with disappointment, we need to first understand what has happened. Some instances of disappointment are predictable and preventable, but there are others that are unavoidable and beyond our control. The storm. To manage disappointment, we need to differentiate between situations that fall within our control and factors that are beyond it. Know what you can control and control those things. Understand what you can't control and let them be. Grow from them both. Being able to recognize the difference will help us to deal with our frustrations more appropriately. We also need to check whether our expectations are reasonable. Expectation management. Are we having unrealistic high expectations and thus aiming too high? Or are we setting our goals too low? If you belong to the group of people who set their expectations too high, working constructively through disappointments may help you to modify expectations. You may learn to move away from perfectionist standards. You may start to accept what is good enough. For those who have set the bar too low, what they should stop doing is hanging on to false beliefs about life, like there is no more hope, or nothing ever works for me, or is that me, them, you. That's resiliency talk. These are different categories that people fall into, and you have to recognize it, that this is what somebody is doing. Oh, I never, this never. When you, that's me, or them. It's one of them where it's something negative that they've fallen into, and they have this characteristic. Nothing ever works for me. Avoiding disappointments is not possible in life. Trying to do so is not a very constructive way of dealing with life challenges. When disappointment occurs regularly, it may be advisable to reevaluate our perceptions and behaviors. We can examine whether we are inviting disappointments. Could we have been clearer in our communication of what we were expecting from others? Expectation management. It don't work if you're not clear. If you don't spell that thing out and make sure it's Semper Gumby, if you didn't break it down Forrest Gump style, it's probably not going to happen the way you want it. On top of all the stuff that could go wrong, you just made it even easier to go wrong. Could we have been clearer in our communication? Do we really know what we expect from ourselves? Are we listening to what others are saying to us? Are we just listening to reply? Could we have done something different to arrive at a different outcome? Also, given what we know about ourselves, how can we adjust our expectations to be more effective the next time? And what support and resources do we have at our disposal to help us move through our feelings of disappointment successfully? To deal with disappointment constructively, don't let it deteriorate into apathy and depression. Take care of it fast. As soon as you recognize that you're disappointed, go ahead and start doing the assessment. Sustained negative rumination is about a prescription for change. When we become preoccupied by bad news, we lose sight of what is right in our lives and in the world around us. We only internalize feelings of sadness and anger. Hanging on to these feelings can result in us unconsciously making them part of our identity. I like that. When we become preoccupied by bad news, we lose sight of what is right in our lives and in the world around us. You ever notice when, like, Negative Nancy, when she comes to visit, it will make you negative if you allow for her to hang out, right? You gotta close that door and be like, hey, Negative Nancy, you gotta come back when you positive Pam. You can't hang out here today. I tell them the complaint department is closed. And when I say I tell them, I'm talking about myself too. If I find myself complaining, I'll be like, man, somebody's gonna open up the complaint department. Here we go. Gotta shut that thing down. Because when you start, isn't it easy just to find more stuff to complain about? And all the things that are wrong just be like magnified, like somebody took it and then zoomed that joker in for you. Look at that, it's wrong too. This is wrong too. So that is so true. We become preoccupied by bad news. We lose sight of what is right. Hunt the good stuff. That's why they say hunt for it. Hunt for it. When you go hunt, you ain't just walking out your door and bam, there go dinner. You got to go out and hunt for that thing. What you got, Tanya?
I want to add that onto the relationship part before I forget, because my memory gets in there sometimes. So here's a relationship thing I want to, like you said, hunt for it. So what I do when because got to keep the marriage alive. We do it with our relationships too. We'll find if we get on the roll or we're disappointed, we'll find they don't listen to me. She this or that. He doesn't do this right. So what I did was, when I was feeling good, I used to sit there quietly and like, well, what do I like about my husband? And I made a list. So when I get into that funk mode, when I can't, I can find all the negative. He's breathing too loud. I remember my list. I was like, wait a minute. He's gentle. He's sweet. He's supportive. So like I said, you have to amplify the positive, because sometimes so easily we go into the negative. So I would always do that. Again, with you can do it for yourself, as yourself, because we'll be hard on ourselves. Oh, I'm so hard. I didn't listen. But if you have that quiet, what do you like about yourself? Take those times to make those steady lists about the things. So when you do get in that funk mode, you can pull that list up. Look, oh, wait a minute. I'm really determined. I'm passionate. You can find those things. So again, you can do those things in those good moods with your spouse too, because it helps my relationship. Because I can go down real quick.
That's good.
But if I remember why I like my husband, what was the thing that attracted me to him, I got my little, oh yeah, he's sweet.
That's good. That's a nugget right there. Hunt the good stuff. Yes. You find it, and when you get those opportunities to, and I'm gonna add to that, Tanya. When you're thinking about it, mention it. Right? I'm not a person. I was never a person of like, you look this today, blah blah blah. I would think it. I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, look at you. But I wouldn't be like, hey, you look at you. So now I have to be intentional about when I'm thinking it, to verbalize it, right? To share it. What you got, Joe?
I love how you say intentional, because that's exactly what Tanya was getting at. A dedicated focus towards these things, and resiliency teaches. I think they call it the 5 domains of wellness now. And nobody's gonna be able to pull out the book or remember. Wait, hold on, let me go through each domain and see if I'm working towards them. That's not how the human brain works, right? But some people are special like that. But for the average Joe, that's not what they think about. But it's the things that you must take care of in order for you to be well, whole as a person, and that takes intent. It takes a dedicated focus. And I want to say about all this kind of stuff that we're talking about today. You know, they make TV shows based off of this. They call them reality TV shows. You know, that's some are positive, some are very, very negative,
That's
right? And somebody's making millions off of it. But you know, they make TV shows based upon this, and you know, some of them I think they can have a real negative effect. But overall, I think they really can highlight to people of things that we can do in our lives to make the quality of our life better. You know, one of the ones I'm thinking about is the lottery ruined my life. And, you know, everybody's always talking about, man, I want to hit the lottery. I mean, look at how many people play the lottery and never win. Yet go back. To go right back to it. I didn't win, but you go right back to it, right? Which is all right, you know. But then also, the other part of it is, what happens if you win? Let's say you go from making $75,000 a year to now you call and the little automated machine tell you got $135 million in the bank, right? If you have never done anything to prepare yourself for financial management, then that $135 million is going to put you and your grandchildren in the hole, right? They're going to be born owing people money. Come out, I'm in debt already. They got a negative 235 credit score. Just how did that happen? Born with bad credit. That's terrible.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know, but I really thoroughly enjoy this, man, because this is being a part of this. You have to make a focus to be a part of conversations like this, because this helps my overall wellness get better. You know, the other morning, I've been struggling a little bit with burnout, and the other morning, right on time, man, right on time. My guys from my company, you know, they deployed right now, and they called me. Hey, they just called me. First, I want to see about you, tell you what we're doing, tell you that we miss you. I said, boys, y'all have no idea what this phone call has done for me. Let me tell you, I feel like strapping my boots up right now. Right now, I feel like strapping my boots up. You know, down here at Fort Sam, you know, you're a enlisted guy. You're quickly reminded where you are on the totem pole.
That's right. That's right. Dime a dozen.
Dime a dozen, baby. And so it's really good to have people in your life. You know, we weren't created to be by ourselves. And so part of that struggle in life is to be connected with those that are moving in the direction that you want to go in. And when you struggle, you're walking a little slower. You know, you're on the track, but you're moving a little slower. It ain't nothing like a good buddy come up beside you. Hey, come on, chest down, head up, come on, just strut, just strut. Yeah, I'll walk with you until you're ready to trot, and I'll trot with you until you're ready to jog, and then I'll run with you when you're ready to run. And that's what a real friend is about.
That's good. I like it. You got anything, David?
Those are real nuggets. I'm just absorbing them, and I'm very happy that I made the conscious decision to ignore my excuses, right? Well, you know, I got to drive 30 minutes. I got to take my son to the soccer. Well, that was my excuse last week, right? Are they going to judge me for driving the last 30 minutes and then I miss out on this wisdom? No. Right? So this, you know, my friend and I, we call it the BOD. Who's in your board of directors, right? My other, you know, group of masterminds, we call it, you know, who are you inviting to your table, right? So, and Joseph put it well, you know, choosing those people that, you know, have those attributes that you are trying to grow into, right? To be part of that. Sometimes you grow out of some of them.
That's right.
Sometimes those people become weeds that you got to pull out of your yard, and you bring on others, you know, that help grow, you know, your garden, right? Well, I'm grateful for you guys being part of my growth today.
Awesome.
Thanks for the invite.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Happy early birthday to you.
Happy early
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you. Oh, you guys got to jump on my wife. She's going to feel bad. She always tries to beat everyone. Hey, this is my bod.
That's right. Boom. Hey, you know, it's all part of being the family, so it's all good. You know, I'm sure she's going to do it up anyways. So I'm going to close out with this summary. Disappointment is not meant to destroy us. If taken in stride, it can strengthen us and make us better. In spite of its devastating emotional impact, we may even consider encounters with disappointment as journeys toward greater insight and wisdom. But to be able to make these journeys of self-reflection and reevaluation meaningful, we need to look beneath the surface. Only by working through painful associations will we be free from them. In spite of whatever disappointing experiences come our way, our challenge will be to not let bitterness take root. That's a whole nother conversation. Bitterness, that thing is bad. So when they say, you know, whatever disappointing experiences you may have, do not let bitterness take root. You gotta. So what happens with bitterness really quick is that something small grows into something like what did Kevin Hart say in that commercial? We gotta have another word for huge, magnanimous. He's making up words for like large, masculinous, whatever he said. It grows, but the thing is, you won't realize that thing, because the root grows down first, and what it's doing when it's growing down and it's contaminating, is getting all these different things in your heart and all this stuff, and then by the time you see the fruit of that bitterness, I'm gonna say it's too late because you're still alive. However, we're gonna go scientific. They have found that when you are dealing with that stuff, it causes health. It manifests itself in health problems, spiritual problems. It's so many things when bitterness takes root that this thing destroys you. So when you have an issue, it is uber important to reframe that thing. Look at it from different angles. If you got to bring people in to help you tackle it because it's already too big, do it. Because bitterness is something you don't want to have to deal with. Okay? So I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole like too far, but I just wanted to highlight on bitterness, right? Don't let bitterness take root. We would do well to keep in mind that although disappointment is inevitable, being discouraged is always a choice. So you can be disappointed, but don't be discouraged in that disappointment, right? Disappointment is okay. You know, hey, you know what? It didn't go the way I wanted it to go. I'm disappointed every time Sunday rolls around and my Falcons take the field almost. I'm disappointed because my daggone Braves got put out and I was talking trash.
Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen to that.
Offering plate right now because I need it. But anyways, hey man, again, this article was written by Manfred Kentz de Vries, and it is found in the Harvard Business Review. If you get a chance, go in and read the full article. I read a lot of it. I didn't read all of it. But man, thank you guys again for spending time with us on this late morning, early afternoon, you know, on your Saturday. I appreciate it as always. And you guys are always welcome to hang out on Coffee, Crepes, Leadership, and Pancakes. I'll see y'all on the next show. Peace.
All right. Peace. Hey, great talking with all of y'all. Enjoyed it. What up, man?
What's going on with you?
Man, it's good to see you, man. Yeah. A little bit. Turn it up a little bit more. Oh, no, not too loud at all. Yeah, I can hear it just a little bit, though. It's nice little background. Yeah. Man, your office looks good, boy. Look at that thing.